Good after lunch, everybody. My name is David Perrin. I'm a sales engineer with ProTech Associates, and I've been working with ProTech for 12 years now. I started as a customer care representative, taking phone calls, working on cases and escalating those. But I really wanted to learn more about associations and more about our software. So that's when I went to Google and started learning. I learned SQL, Visual Studio, Power BI, and other things with reporting, and eventually became a solution consultant working on implementations. So we've learned a lot about associations. ProTech's been around for about 33 years as well. And we've learned a lot of things that you're doing that are good, that are great, and also things that we've been doing for a long time and we're just comfortable with it, but those processes can be improved. So we're going to go back to the basics today. I'm going to talk about simplifying your data and how to make that data work for you and how to present that data in a better way. So I'm going to break it down into 3 different categories. We have our data, how that's represented visually, and how others take that data for their strategic insights, and also to get additional opportunities. Because I know we all create reports. We spend a lot of time with that, whether we do it daily, weekly, or monthly, and we provide those reports to 1 or more individuals or possibly the board, and we don't know if they actually read it. Because in the end, they end up calling you or asking you questions that could have been answered if they just looked at your report. But it's not necessarily your fault. Maybe it's just the story that you're telling to them. You know your data very well. You're telling this story, but it's not at their level. It's not what they are looking for to get out of that report. So let's break it down looking at data first. We have this chart up here. It's colorful, technical, but it's also very chaotic. And this can happen when I have data coming from multiple different locations. We have our AMS, our CMS, LMS. You have someone in the meetings department that's using Excel documents, Word. You have somebody using OneDrive and Google Sheets, SharePoint. And then you have those things, filing cabinets. Those have things in them. I call it a candy cabinet because that's what really should go in there. And the goal here is we need to get all of that information and look at it as a whole and really meet as a group to go over that data. Tom really hit the nail on the head when he said that we need to meet, but also listen. So listen to one another as a group so that we can look at that data together. During the implementation process, we really focus on getting rid of duplicate data. And it's really easy to get duplicates because we're getting this data from all these different locations. Everyone has their own different variations. So duplicates are a big deal. They can really skew your numbers and make your reports look pretty bad when you have incorrect data in there. After that, we need to meet, improve our quality of our data, because in a world of more, we're tracking more information. We have more products. We're buying more products. We have a lot of data that we're collecting. And a lot of data is good. We talked about AI and how you need a lot of data for that. But we need to make sure it's the right data, the data that we're going to be using. If we're storing ages, are we using the age to look for certain groups of individuals? If we're storing their address, are we using their regions or their congressional information to market to them based on that? So we need to get our duplicates in check. We need to refine the data, and then we'll be able to work on visualization. So a picture is worth 1,000 words. We've heard that before, but a picture of 1,000 words here is quite useless. You're going to look at it. You're going to see data, visualization, maybe figure, but then you're going to put it down and ask for someone to explain it to you, because you're not going to get a magnifying glass and look at that data. You want to know in a few seconds, because that's how long you have to capture their attention, what the story you're trying to tell is. So we're going to go back to the basics. Like I said, we're going to look at different charts. We've all used charts before. You can use charts in Excel with a table U, Power BI. Microsoft CRM, whatever you're using. There's a lot of free options out there as well. But we need to make sure we're using the right charts, and then at the end we're telling the right story with a storyboard. So I'm going to go, again, back to basics. Let's look at a few chart examples and how we can use them. Here we have the histogram. It looks just like a bar chart, except there's less space in between each bar. Let's say I was looking for a list of people that are contributing. Maybe I have many different foundations, and I want to know how many people are giving to each one. In that case, maybe I could use a bar chart. So I see a high bar, that's good. A lower bar, maybe that's not as good. But I can see visually the giving of our members for our different foundations. But what a histogram is really good for is creating what they call bins. Sometimes we don't want to track how many people are contributing, which we do, but let's say I want to know that this person gave $11, this person gave $15, this one $100, but if that were in a bar chart, it would be quite lengthy. What a histogram can do is create a bin or a category. If you contributed $1 to $100, you fit into the bronze giver or the bronze contributing bin. And then 101 to 250 are silver. So we can group these in a way that's much easier presented. And we can use that too for member engagement because we want to score our members. How are they engaged? We have a number assigned to that. But I don't want to look at a sheet of numbers. I want to look that this person's an A+ promoter. So maybe I can use them for speaking at a meeting. And this person here barely interacts with us at all. I need to work with them. So the histogram can help you out with that. Which brings us to the bar chart. Let's say I wanted to look at a number of members. We have 1,000 members. We have 2,000 non-members. We can see that visually. But we can also break it down and look at member types. So we have students, we have nurses, we have the different types of members. We can also break it down by day, month, or year. In this example, it's annual revenue broken down by day, maybe, or monthly, or yearly. We've seen that a lot of associations are now doing check-ins on site when they give you the badge. So they record when you pick up the badge. So they can see out of the 3,000 people registered, here's a bar here, that we have 2,000 people that have already registered. So I can let some temps go because we know there's only 1,000 people that are going to come up and collect their badge. So bar charts, you really can't go wrong. They're very widely used and they're easy to read. Which brings us to the pie chart, which is the most misused chart out of all. Probably because everybody likes pie and they just gravitate towards it. But if you're trying to figure out who likes pie, I could use a pie chart. I could say 80% of people like pie, 20% don't. I can look at it and I can see very quickly that larger portion and then that smaller portion. Maybe it looks like Pac-Man. But then you get to cases like this. I can see most of our members are in the Americas. I can see that as the big blue portion. But if I turn my head to the left, Europe's more. If I turn my head to the right, Asia's more. So we don't want to clutter up the pie so that it defeats the purpose of it. It should be really quick, yes, no, and I can determine what that story is or what it's trying to tell. If there's too many segments of that pie, you're going to go hungry and you're going to be looking at it and you're just not going to get what they're trying to tell you. Line chart. My favorite chart because we can track trends very easily with these. So let's say I have an annual meeting and it's about the same time every year, give or take a month, and I can, or a week, I can look at, let's say, the last 3 years of meeting registrations. January it goes up and then it starts to fall in February, but then it picks back up right before the meeting. If I'm tracking previous years worth of history, I can see how I'm doing in that current year. That's good for driving additional opportunities when you see that peak doesn't go up as high, but also if you see it taper off or it just flatlines, you can look at that and try to figure out what went wrong. Maybe Mary in the meetings department went on vacation for the first time in 3 years, so it went down. Or maybe you forgot to send out a blast email, or you had a broken link in one of your email reminders. So not only can we improve opportunities by looking at trends, but we can also figure out what's going wrong with our data easily by looking at a line chart. Which brings us into the big brother of a line chart. These both can be used interchangeably, the line and the area chart, but what we see this one used more frequently for is, let's say you have multiple sales people and they're making sales and they have different opportunities. I can see clearly, very quickly, the different areas, the different mountains. And typically they'll have numbers at the peaks so that you can quickly see what the volumes are, because that's what it's tracking, volumes, along with the line. So now that we've looked at a few examples of charts, the end goal is to get that into a storyboard or a dashboard, because we want to be able to give this to someone and have them easily understand everything that we're trying to tell them. They can see right away, sales this month, 79,000. I can see here that John needs a little bit of help. He's got more orders open than Peter. But then I can take it a step further and make it into an interactive dashboard. Click on John's orders and then see a list of everything that makes up that order. That's a big part, because you want to be able to drill into it and not say, find where this data is pulling from. Is this number wrong? Where's this coming from? And going between tables. We don't want to do that. So another thing we want to keep in mind is that we can have too many charts in a dashboard. In this example, we're trying to show you all the different charts that you can use, but we find 4 to 8 at a maximum for the typical viewer. You could find a reason to have more, but you don't want somebody to get confused when they look at this and get overwhelmed. The next thing is that you want it to be not only interactive, but dynamic. When I give this to somebody, I don't want to give it to them and then the next week or month they come back to me and I have to generate it and give it to them again. We want a source that's going to be dynamic. I want to give it to them so that they can run it whenever they need that number. Because studies have shown that an interruption or disruption can take away 15 to 30 minutes of your day, of your time, even if it's a yes, no. Somebody calls you up and says, hey, how many members do we have? How many people are renewing? That's going to take you 15 to 30 minutes to get back into the groove. You got to check your Amazon orders. You got to look at your Google, and you got to do all this stuff. And then you're focused again. And then the phone rings again. So we want to create this not only to help yourselves, but to help them see that information that they need. And again, there's many different platforms out there that can create these dashboards for you. Once we have that, we can finally meet as a team. We can go over the data. We don't want to go into a room with a Excel spreadsheet printout and go over line by line, because that's going to be lengthy and you're not going to have all those numbers that you need. So you need to simplify the data, get it into a visual report or storyboard, and then that's going to create those opportunities for you, and not only new opportunities, but with new members, but opportunities with existing members. Because we do want to keep in mind with the member engagement, it is a lot less costly to keep members than it is to get new members. So that brings me to Protect does a power hour where we talk about a certain subject, and in the new year we're going to be doing member engagement, and it is a CAE accredited course. So if you would like to attend, just come up to me or Carol and we can get you on that list for that. So end goal is to reach your mission, your goal, to increase sales and make things easier for not only you, but for whoever you're providing these reports to. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, thank you all very much.